How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about Steam hardware. In today's video, we've got 3 topics to cover. Starting out with the fact that the Steam Deck shortage just went global, but it looks like it might clear up sooner rather than later. After that, let's talk about the huge leak surrounding the Steam Deck 2 we just got that comes with a huge silver lining. And finally, Capcom just dropped Resident Evil 1 through 3, the originals, on Steam, but you gotta put a little bit of work in to get them going on the Steam Deck, and I have an alternative. As always, I hope you are having a great week playing a ton of video games. Stick around at the end if you want to hear what I'm playing on my Steam Deck. Remember to subscribe, set your notifications to all, but with the intro out of the way, let's get into the first news story here and talk about the Steam Deck shortage. So this situation is a big bummer because somehow there still are a lot of people who are looking to buy Steam Decks, and just because of saving up money and the timing and blah, 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 right when they went to buy a Steam Deck, Valve decided to stop selling them, and they had a good reason for doing so. The reason was they didn't want to raise the price of the Steam Deck, so it made more sense for them just to hold it back until they can make sure they can pay the price they want to manufacture them, get them to their shipping distribution centers, and make sure they don't have to raise the price of the Steam Deck OLED, because they also got rid of the entry-level option, the Steam Deck LCD, which I'm honestly fine with, right? Like, divert all the RAM to the Steam Deck OLED. The OLED is just so much better that I feel like even though it is a little bit more expensive than the Steam Deck LCD, everything comes out in the wash when you see it in your hands. So you're just like, wow, this is a really good handheld. And then when you see the Steam Deck LCD, you're like, this is a really good handheld without the wow. Either way, you get a good handheld. You're just more excited when you get your hands on the Steam Deck OLED. So yeah, it is a bummer that this thing is not available to buy. It's not the only one having issues. The Legion Go S has been in and out of stock. The ROG Xbox Ally X has been in and out of stock. The Legion Go 2 has been out of stock since it launched last year, and now we're looking forward to the SteamOS version, and I hope I can get my hands on one because it's just really hard to get any handheld you want to buy right now. But when it comes to the Steam Deck, you guys overseas, and I know there are a lot of overseas viewers, you haven't had many issues, right? Like Komodo Store was keeping them stocked in Asia. I guess Valve was keeping them stocked in Europe. Everything was fine. You got to point and laugh at us and say, you guys can't buy Steam Decks, but we can. Officially now, you can't unless you keep a very close eye on the Steam store, because while they are out of stock in Europe and Asia, as well as the United States now, they do go in and out of stock randomly throughout the day. I keep my eye on it and I give it a 5-minute window. If they're still in stock after that 5-minute window has passed, I'll tweet about it. But like, I don't want to give people false hope and say on Twitter, hey, the Steam Deck OLED is in stock here in the United States. And then by the time anyone sees it, because it slowly feeds tweets out to people who follow you, they're out of stock. That just is like added stress, and I want to keep things positive. So if you really want to get your hands on a Steam Deck OLED, you have a lot of options. I mean, you can go through Facebook Marketplace. Don't go for the ones that are like $100 because those are too good to be true. But if they're in the price range of like $300 to $400, even as low as like $250 to $275, those ones will be well loved. That's when you know you're dealing with a real person. And my personal tip is lowball this shit out of everybody. I know this is going to ruffle some feathers. Some people who sell on the Facebook Marketplace probably don't like hearing that, but like, I buy a lot of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I bought a lot of the furniture for our house. I bought electronics. I bought a car, my Jeep Wrangler I got on Facebook Marketplace, and it has never steered me wrong to start as low as possible. Keep it realistic, right? Like the lowest realistic price. And like worst case, the person will either block you or meet you in the middle. And if they block you, they were never going to be someone worth dealing with to begin with. So it's like eBay, of course, is another option, but like, man, I've used eBay for decades. It was how I got cheaper tech when I was in high school because my parents did not give me money. I worked at Staples. I worked at my dad's nut factory. So I was not rolling in the dough. eBay was a godsend. I got busted iPhones that I repaired myself. I got Super Nintendos. I got NESs. It was great. Now the prices are absolutely insane. I mean, everyone just does buy it now with reserve, but like you can, if you put in the work, get lucky on eBay. And then of course, if you just want to get a new one and pay the regular retail price, just keep your eyes glued on the Steam store. You will get one. They do go in and out of stock and then mostly stay out of stock. But like, if you keep your eyes peeled, they generally stay in stock long enough for you to get your hands on one. I would love to know how many people are looking in 2026 to buy a Steam Deck. I am consistently shocked at how many comments comments I get here and on my Twitter at deck_ready saying, man, I was just about to buy a Steam Deck. I've been saving up and it went out of stock. So like my heart goes out to those people. Of course, that sucks. I would not buy another handheld unless it's like a Switch 2 and you're really into Nintendo games. Your next best choice is to wait. But with RAM prices falling because of that OpenAI deal falling through and the TurboQuant situation, and I noticed that Corsair Vengeance RAM in some cases is back down to the price it was before the RAM apocalypse happened, I don't think we're going to have to deal with this much longer. When people say, oh, this is going to be a thing for a year, this is going to be the new normal, this is going to be a thing for 5 years, they're doing the same thing I'm doing. They're guessing based on available info, but they don't have the brain that I do. When I want to know something, I go deep, I lock the into it. I'm sitting there on Google, I'm sitting there on ChatGPT, double checking everything it says because it's wrong so much. I'm going deep on Twitter, I'm going into forums, and I will find out as much info as I can. And what I have determined with my optimistic, positive outlook is that we won't have to deal with this much longer. Things change rapidly in this new world post-lockdown. Everything's just a little bit weirder than it was before. I hope things eventually get back to normal. That would be great because I'm not gonna lie, 2019 was a peak year for Jim here, but you know, we're just gonna have to take the punches as they come. You will get a Steam Deck if you're looking for one. But that's talking about right now and a little bit the future, but let's keep talking about the future because Kepler, this guy's been going off on Reset Era, just dropping full specs for the PS6, dropping full specs for the PS6 handheld, and hidden in his report about the PS6 handheld was some nice little info about the Steam Deck 2, its release window, and a huge silver lining based on that. If you want to hear about the PS6 handheld, I have a video all about it on PS Ready, but when it comes to the Steam Deck 2, all those rumors we were hearing about them really targeting 2028, if Kepler is to be believed, and I've mentioned this before on the channel, I talk about this guy's stuff all the time on PS Ready. He is accurate as hell. Like, his track record's insane, so I trust him. If they don't improve, we're looking at a small delay to either late 2028 or early 2029, and I feel like they've got to hit either one of those years and like take a loss on the Steam Deck 2 and make it back on the Steam store, but figure it out, because I know a lot of people say they can hang on to their Steam Deck until 2030, and I'm happy for you. I think you should do that if you feel like it's good once the Steam Deck 2 comes out. When you're talking about building out a brand and like building a platform, you can't have that long in between releases. 7 years is the amount of time that a console generation traditionally lasts, and there's a reason for that. They do a lot of research and they try to get the cross point of when people's interest is waning and when people's interest can be reignited for the next big thing. If you wait too long, you lose people, and they don't want to lose people because theoretically the goal with this platform of SteamOS, the Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, and the Steam Deck is to grow, and they don't want to stay the same, right? Like, you know, that just makes sense. So 2028 feels good to me. I would prefer next year, knowing that, you know, other handhelds like the PS6 handheld are targeting next year. Allegedly Xbox is working on one to see if they can get it out for next year. So 2028 honestly feels good to me. I wasn't expecting it to line up with the PS6 handheld or the eventual Xbox handheld. Like, let them get their stuff out, let them eat up the news cycle, and then when things die down, throw out the Steam Deck 2 and show them how it's really done. But if they do have to push it, there is a huge silver lining, because Kepler also revealed that this time around they're not using a semi-custom chip for the Steam Deck. They're going to look at, you know, what's available and find one that gives us a generational leap in performance while retaining the same battery life. And if they find that chip, when they find that chip, that's what they're going to use for the Steam Deck 2. So like, the longer they wait to really kick it into gear, the better of a chip they're going to have the opportunity to use from a price and performance standpoint. And the cool thing is, because it's not semi-custom again, they can make those decisions up to basically the last minute. So like, if magically a month before they want to announce the Steam Deck 2, a brand new chip comes out that's way better than what they were already using, and they can slot it in easily, they can do that and they'll reap the rewards of that. So that's good in my opinion. So yeah, I know a lot of people are thrilled with their Steam Deck still, and that's good because I am too, but like, I wouldn't say no if they came out with a version next year that's thinner, lighter, has improved trackpads, and the same OLED screen. Like, that would make me happy. Plus that better performance. Who's going to say no to that? But the best thing is no one's forcing you to upgrade. They're not going to abandon the original Steam Deck when the second one comes out. But finally, that brings me to the third news story here, which is the classic Resident Evil trilogy is on PC. And because these games are up to 30 years old, they run great on Steam Deck, but there are a few problems. The first problem is that they don't have controller support built in, so you've got to use custom controller configurations. Steam Deck HQ already got one made, so you can search for it and download it. That should just apply it, and it's basically the same as the newer Resident Evils, so if you've played any of them, it should work just fine. The second problem is a little bit more complicated. You've got to use Proton tricks to like patch something in the launcher to make it all boot and run correctly, and there's a huge tutorial on how to do that on Steam Deck HQ. I don't like that you have to do that for 30-year-old games, but the cool thing is you actually don't. Because these games are actually coming late to Steam. They launched first on GOG, which has integration with the Heroic Game Launcher. The new version of it is really easy to set up. You just log into GOG, download the games, pick a Proton version, and you're good to go. And I'm pretty sure those ones did have controller support, but if they didn't, I searched for it and found one because I know for a fact I did not go through all the effort to make a custom controller configuration. So like if you're a tinkerer, it's easy and worth it to get it set up on Steam, but like if you just want the easy out of the box way to play it, do the Heroic Games Launcher GOG login and it'll just save you a lot of time. It runs great. I mean, these games are absolute classics. I run through them all about once a year. The original Resident Evil, I play a lot less because the remake is a 1-to-1 remake with some minor changes and better graphics. So like I like that one, but 2 and 3's original versions are totally unique and really hold up. And the cool thing is for 2 specifically, if you played the remake first, you kind of have a good idea of what to do through the critical path in the game, but it has this cool thing called the Zap system where you can leave key items behind for the B playthrough. So like if you take all the ammo or the really good guns, then Claire's kind of screwed in the second playthrough, which I always thought was really forward thinking and awesome. And Resident Evil 3, I mean, people act like, I don't know, they act like so much was cut out of it for the remake. There was like 1 or 2 levels maybe. The one criticism I agree with is I don't love the redesign of Jill. I like the way she looks in a vacuum, but like when you compare them, it's like a different character. So like I like the original 3 because it's the original Jill, but I also like the remake more than most people. I think it gets an unnecessarily bad rap. Like people got a weird chip on their shoulder about it, and it's like, it's good, it's just not up to the quality of like 2 remake or 4 remake. So I don't know, I'm getting in the weeds, but yeah, I mean, it's never a bad time to run through the classic Resident Evils, and now you can do it on your Steam Deck, and you know 2 ways to get it set up. So yeah, as for what I've been playing on my Steam Deck, I've been playing Dead Cells. I had to start a new save because my original one was on Switch. I beat the clock tower in the 3rd run though, which is crazy considering I didn't have all the upgrades, and it took me 40 or so hours to do it on the Switch back in the day. I've also been playing The Division 2. That game is getting a second life right now. And then also my AYN Odin 3 showed up that I pre-ordered last year, not a Steam Deck Mini. I get that YouTubers blow things out of proportion because, you know, the algorithm kind of makes you, but like, I don't know, man. Like, it's cool playing Steam games on it, but the games that I would play, I can just play fine on my Steam Deck. And the whole idea of a Steam Deck Mini, I was never really convinced it was something necessary, and now I'm even less convinced. That thing is uncomfortable, and the sticks, the right one being low, it's impossible to use if you have adult sized hands. Like, you have to basically do the claw grip. So like, it's really good hardware. The screen is amazing. The battery life lasts forever. It's a really nice form factor, but like, I was just dying to get back on my Steam Deck when I was using it. I can't return it, so I'm going to mess around with it more. It's great for emulation, but like, Steam on ARM, nowhere near ready. Like, don't ditch your Steam Deck for this thing. Seriously, like, you're going to run into some issues. I tried about, I don't know, 20 games, and I'd say about 7 of them worked at all. And out of those 7, maybe 5 were a good experience. And the one big problem I ran into is that with the screen being so small, you run into major FOV issues. Like Resident Evil 5's Mercs mode is just impossible on this thing. I did like the Mercenaries 3D on it though. So a little bit of a mixed bag. I'm excited for the AYN Thor. I think that will fix a lot of my problems because the console I like emulating the most is DS and 3DS, and it's like an OLED 3DS. But yeah, that's what I've got going on. Let me know what you're playing. Let me know your thoughts on the Steam Deck Mini. I know people get heated about this, but like, I like a big screen. I think the Steam Deck is fine the size it is, honestly, and I like the way it fits on my hand. So anyway, guys, as always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.